Right now, while you're watching this, your muscles are quietly making a decision. Not in the gym, not during your morning walk, right now, tonight, while you sleep. And the terrifying part is that most people over 60 have no idea that the hours between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. are either rebuilding their strength or silently dismantling it, one night at a time. I used to think muscle loss was just part of getting older. You slow down, you shrink a little, your legs get weaker, and eventually you need help doing things you once did without thinking. I accepted it. Most people do because nobody told us there was another option. But here's what the fitness industry, the supplement companies, and even most doctors never explain clearly enough. Sarcopenia, the medical term for age-related muscle loss, doesn't just happen during the day. It accelerates at night. And the reason it accelerates isn't simply because you're aging. It's because of specific habits you're repeating every single evening without realizing what they're costing you. Researchers now estimate that adults over 60 can lose up to 1 to 2% of their total muscle mass every single year. And that number climbs steeply when nighttime recovery is compromised. That doesn't sound like much until you do the math and realize that over a decade, you could be losing a quarter of your functional strength, the kind of strength that determines whether you can carry groceries, climb stairs, get up from a chair without assistance, or live independently in your own home. The good news is this: these habits are fixable, every single one of them. And the changes don't require a gym membership, expensive equipment, or a complicated routine. They require knowing what's actually happening inside your body while you sleep, and making a handful of small adjustments that compound into something remarkable over weeks and months. In this video, we are going to walk through the 7 nighttime habits that are slowly destroying muscle density after 60, ranked from the ones that hurt you the least to the one that may be doing the most damage of all. And stay with me because habit number 2 on this list is the one that surprises people the most. It feels completely harmless. Millions of seniors do it every night without a second thought. And according to a study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, it can suppress the muscle-building hormones your body produces during sleep by up to 60%. Every single reference for this video is linked in the description below. Check them yourself. Before we get into it, I want to hear from you. How old are you? And where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments right now. We read and reply to every single one of you, and your experience matters to this community more than you know. Now let's begin. Habit number 7, going to bed dehydrated. This one sounds almost too simple to matter. You've heard about hydration your entire life. Drink more water, everyone says. And most people figure they're doing fine as long as they don't feel thirsty. But here's what nobody tells you about dehydration and muscle tissue after 60. Thirst is not a reliable signal anymore. As we age, the thirst mechanism in the brain becomes less sensitive, which means by the time your body sends a thirst signal, you're already meaningfully dehydrated. And that low-level chronic dehydration at night does something insidious to your muscles. Muscle tissue is approximately 75% water. That water isn't just floating around passively. It's actively involved in protein synthesis, the process your body uses to repair and build muscle fibers during sleep. A study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that even mild dehydration, defined as just a 2% reduction in body water, significantly impaired muscle protein synthesis rates in older adults. 2% sounds like nothing. For a 150-pound person, that's less than 3 pounds of water weight. But at the cellular level, it's enough to slow down the repair machinery your muscles depend on during the night. Meet Harold, 71, a retired electrician from Ohio who loved his evening walks and felt proud that he still moved better than most men his age. But Harold had a habit. He stopped drinking water after dinner because he didn't want to wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. Made sense to him. Seemed practical. But over the course of 2 years, Harold noticed his grip strength weakening, his calves cramping at night, and his energy collapsing in the afternoons. His doctor checked everything. Blood work came back fine. Nobody connected it to what was happening in his cells every single night while he slept dehydrated. When Harold started drinking 8 to 10 ounces of water an hour before bed, not right before, but an hour before, and adding a small pinch of sea salt to support cellular absorption, his nighttime cramps stopped within a week. His grip strength improved within a month. Something so simple had been quietly draining him. The fix is timing. Drink your water earlier in the evening so your kidneys can process it before you lie down. You get the hydration your muscles need without the 2 a.m. bathroom trips. Habit number 6, eating a high-sugar snack before bed. Here's a habit that feels harmless and even comforting. A little something sweet after dinner. A few cookies. A small bowl of ice cream. Maybe some crackers with jam. Seniors especially often reach for something sweet in the evening, and food companies know exactly how to make those products irresistible. But what happens inside your body when sugar enters your bloodstream at night is directly opposed to what your muscles need during sleep. When you eat sugar, your blood glucose rises and your pancreas releases insulin to manage it. At night, insulin doesn't just manage blood sugar. It also suppresses a critical hormone called human growth hormone, or HGH, which is one of the primary drivers of overnight muscle repair and regeneration. A landmark study from Stanford University found that nighttime glucose elevation suppressed HGH release during the first deep sleep cycle by as much as 75%. For younger adults, the body compensates somewhat. For adults over 60, where HGH production is already declining naturally, that suppression can mean your body spends the entire night in a maintenance deficit, breaking down tissue faster than it builds. Meet Dorothy, 68, a retired school librarian who had always been slim and active. She started noticing that despite walking every day and eating what she thought was a healthy diet, her arms were thinning. Her doctor called it age-related muscle loss and suggested she accept it. But Dorothy noticed that the thinning seemed to accelerate over the same year that she'd started keeping a small candy dish on her nightstand, just a few pieces every evening. It seemed so minor. When a nutritionist suggested cutting sugar after 7 p.m. and replacing her evening snack with a small handful of walnuts or a half cup of plain Greek yogurt, Dorothy felt skeptical. But 4 months later, her arms looked different. Her energy on morning walks improved. Her doctor was surprised at her next checkup. The candy dish is gone from her nightstand now. Swap the sugar for protein in the evening. Your muscles will thank you. Habit number 5, skipping protein in the evening. This one is the flip side of the previous habit, and it might be the most overlooked nutritional factor in muscle preservation for seniors. Most people eat the majority of their protein at lunch or dinner, feel satisfied, and then consume nothing meaningful before bed. And while that feels logical, it leaves your muscles without the raw materials they need for the critical repair window that opens during deep sleep. Here's why this matters so specifically at night. During sleep, your body releases growth hormone and enters what researchers call an anabolic state, meaning it is primed to build and repair tissue. But anabolism requires amino acids. Specifically, it requires leucine, the branching amino acid that acts as the primary trigger for muscle protein synthesis. Without adequate leucine available in your bloodstream during those overnight hours, the anabolic window opens and then closes without doing the work it was designed to do. A study published in the journal Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that older adults who consumed 40 grams of casein protein before bed showed significantly higher rates of muscle protein synthesis overnight compared to those who consumed a placebo. Casein is found in dairy products, particularly cottage cheese and Greek yogurt, and its slow digestion rate makes it ideal for nighttime use. Meet Raymond, 73, a retired firefighter who lifted weights 3 times a week and couldn't understand why his muscle definition seemed to be fading despite his consistent training. His strength was dropping. his recovery was slower. He felt like he was working harder for worse results. A sports nutritionist pointed out that Raymond ate his last real meal at 5 p.m. and then had nothing until breakfast at 7 a.m. That's 14 hours without amino acids. 14 hours during which his muscles were essentially scavenging protein from their own tissue to fuel overnight cellular repair. Raymond added half a cup of cottage cheese before bed. Just that. Nothing complicated. Within 6 weeks, he told his nutritionist that his workouts felt different. His muscles felt fuller. His recovery soreness dropped by what he described as more than half. He'd been training hard for years while unknowingly starving his muscles every single night. If you want to protect your muscle density after 60, make a simple protein habit before bed. Cottage cheese, a small serving of Greek yogurt, or even a hard-boiled egg. Your muscles are waiting for the fuel. But before we continue, if this information has been opening your eyes, hit the like button right now and make sure you're subscribed. Because what we're about to reveal in habits 4, 3, 2, and 1 gets significantly more serious and more surprising. Don't miss it. Habit number 4, sleeping in a room that's too warm. This one sounds like a comfort issue, not a health issue, but the temperature of your sleep environment has a direct and measurable effect on the hormones that control overnight muscle recovery, and most people have no idea. Here's the science. One of the most important triggers for deep restorative sleep is a drop in core body temperature. Your brain uses this cooling signal to initiate the slow-wave sleep stages, where the majority of growth hormone is released. When your bedroom is too warm, typically above 67 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, your core temperature cannot drop efficiently. Your slow-wave sleep is fragmented, and growth hormone secretion is reduced. A study from the National Sleep Foundation found that sleeping in rooms above 70 degrees Fahrenheit reduced slow-wave sleep duration by nearly 30% compared to cooler environments. For seniors whose growth hormone production is already declining, a 30% further reduction in the sleep stage where that hormone is primarily released is not a small thing. It's the difference between meaningful overnight muscle recovery and none at all. Meet Patricia, 67, a retired nurse who prided herself on knowing her own body. She kept her bedroom warm because she'd always felt cold at night. Electric blanket, space heater, heavy curtains. She slept 8 hours every night and woke up exhausted. Her legs felt weak in the morning. Her doctor had treated her for low thyroid, low iron, low vitamin D. Nothing fixed the fatigue. A sleep specialist finally asked about her bedroom temperature. When Patricia reluctantly lowered her thermostat to 65 degrees and kept just a light blanket, she described the first week as uncomfortable, but noticed within 10 days that she was waking up feeling genuinely different, rested in a way she hadn't experienced in years. Her morning leg weakness improved within a month. The right sleep environment had been missing the entire time. Cool your room down. 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit is the sweet spot for optimal slow-wave sleep and the hormonal recovery that protects your muscles during the night. Habit number 3, using your phone or watching television right before sleep. This habit is so universal now that most people have stopped questioning it entirely. The phone is just part of the bedtime routine. 10 minutes of scrolling, maybe 30, maybe an hour. And the television in the bedroom feels like company. But what this blue light exposure does to your muscle recovery is something researchers are increasingly alarmed about. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production. Most people know this. But what most people don't realize is that melatonin is not just a sleep hormone. It also has direct antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects on muscle tissue. A 2019 study published in Frontiers in Physiology found that melatonin plays a critical role in protecting muscle fibers from oxidative damage during sleep and in regulating the inflammatory pathways that, when chronically elevated, directly accelerate muscle breakdown. Seniors with low melatonin levels showed significantly higher levels of inflammatory markers in their muscle tissue compared to those with healthy melatonin profiles. When you suppress melatonin with blue light every single night, you're not just making it harder to fall asleep. You're stripping your muscles of one of their primary overnight protectors. There's more. Screen use before bed activates the sympathetic nervous system, keeping your body in a mild alert state that prevents the transition into deep sleep stages. And it's during deep sleep, specifically stage 3 slow wave sleep, where growth hormone is secreted in its highest concentrations. A study from Harvard Medical School showed that even 1 hour of blue light exposure before bed delayed the onset of deep sleep by up to 90 minutes. For seniors who already sleep fewer hours than they once did, losing 90 minutes of deep sleep to a scrolling habit is catastrophically costly to muscle recovery. Meet Eugene, 74, a former marathon runner who was proud of the fact that he still walked 5 miles every morning. But in recent years, his legs had started to feel different. Not painful, just hollow, thin. He blamed aging and kept pushing through. His daughter noticed that her father was on his tablet until midnight, every night, watching news videos and reading articles. She bought him blue light blocking glasses as a joke, but Eugene wore them. Then she convinced him to move the tablet out of the bedroom entirely and replace the evening routine with 20 minutes of reading a physical book under warm light. Within 3 weeks, Eugene told her that his sleep felt deeper. Within 2 months, his legs felt different during his morning walks. More power, more presence. He told his walking group about it. 3 of them made the same change and reported similar results. Put the phone down at least 1 hour before bed. Move the television out of the bedroom if you can. Your melatonin levels and your muscles will recover together. Habit number 2, drinking alcohol in the evening. Here it is, the habit that surprises people the most, because alcohol feels like relaxation. It feels like it helps you sleep, and in a shallow surface level way, it does. You fall asleep faster. You feel drowsy and calm, which is exactly why it's so deceptive, and exactly why it may be one of the most destructive things you can do to your muscles after 60 without ever knowing it. Here's what alcohol actually does during sleep. It suppresses REM sleep and disrupts the architecture of deep slow-wave sleep in the second half of the night. This is the phase where muscle repair peaks. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that even moderate alcohol consumption, defined as 2 drinks for men and 1 for women, reduced nighttime growth hormone secretion by up to 70% when consumed within 3 hours of bedtime. 70%. That is not a marginal disruption. That is essentially switching off your body's primary overnight muscle rebuilding signal. On top of this, alcohol is a direct muscle toxin at the cellular level. It interferes with protein synthesis in muscle fibers by disrupting the mTOR signaling pathway, which is the molecular mechanism your cells use to construct new muscle tissue. Research from the American Journal of Physiology found that alcohol consumption reduced muscle protein synthesis rates by over 30%, even when protein intake was adequate. So even if you ate perfectly during the day, even if you had your cottage cheese before bed, even if your room temperature was ideal, a glass or 2 of wine in the evening could erase a significant portion of the overnight recovery your body was primed to do. Meet Frank, 70, a retired contractor who had a glass of red wine every night for 20 years. He'd read that it was good for the heart, and maybe it is in some contexts. But Frank had also spent 4 years watching his legs go from strong and capable to weak and unstable. He used to be able to carry a 50-pound bag of concrete without effort. Now climbing a flight of stairs left him winded and shaky. His doctor ran every test imaginable. His heart was fine. His blood work was acceptable. Nobody looked at the wine. A nutritionist who specialized in aging finally connected the dots. She didn't tell Frank to stop forever. She asked him to take 30 days off from evening alcohol and to replace his nightly glass with a warm cup of tart cherry concentrate mixed with warm water, which also has sleep-supporting benefits. By week 2, Frank noticed his sleep felt different. By week 4, his legs felt stronger on the stairs. By the end of the month, he told his wife he felt 10 years younger in his body. The wine wasn't relaxing him. It was quietly dismantling him. If you want to protect your muscle density, the evening drink needs to go, or at minimum, it needs to happen at dinner with food, not close to bedtime. Give your growth hormone the chance to do its job. Your muscles are depending on it. And now we arrive at the habit at the top of this list, the one that ties everything else together. The one that researchers are calling the single most powerful, modifiable risk factor for muscle loss in adults over 60. Habit number 1, getting chronically poor or insufficient deep sleep. Everything we've talked about in this video, the dehydration, the sugar, the missing protein, the warm room, the screen time, the alcohol, all of it converges here. Because all of those habits are ultimately attacking the same target: deep, slow-wave sleep. And when deep sleep is chronically disrupted or shortened, the consequences for your muscles are severe, measurable, and largely irreversible unless you act. Here's what's happening in your body during deep sleep that nothing else can replicate. In the first slow-wave sleep cycle, which typically begins 60 to 90 minutes after you fall asleep, your pituitary gland releases a pulse of human growth hormone. This pulse is the single most anabolic event your body experiences on any given day. It triggers muscle protein synthesis, initiates tissue repair, regulates cortisol, and signals your cells to use fat for energy rather than breaking down muscle tissue. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association followed healthy adults over a period of weeks and found that when deep sleep was restricted to less than 4 hours per night, participants showed a 37% reduction in insulin-like growth factor 1, the downstream signal of growth hormone, alongside measurable increases in cortisol and inflammatory markers. In practical terms, their muscles were breaking down faster during the day and repairing less efficiently at night. The net result, over months and years, is accelerated sarcopenia. What makes this so devastating for seniors is that deep sleep naturally decreases with age. Adults over 60 typically spend far less time in slow-wave sleep than younger adults. That decline is already working against you. Every habit on this list accelerates that decline further. And researchers at the University of Chicago found that seniors with consistently poor sleep quality lost muscle mass at nearly 3 times the rate of seniors who reported good quality deep sleep, even when controlling for exercise levels and protein intake, 3 times faster. And it wasn't because they were moving less. It was because the hormonal environment that allows muscles to repair simply wasn't being created during the night. Meet Eleanor, 72, a retired music teacher who slept 7 hours every night and couldn't understand why she was still exhausted. She was doing everything right, she thought. But her 7 hours weren't 7 hours of quality sleep. She was waking 2 or 3 times a night, lying awake for 20 or 30 minutes each time, and spending very little time in the deep stages that matter most. She had a warm bedroom, a television she watched until she fell asleep, a glass of wine most evenings, and no protein after 5 p.m. Each habit on its own might have been manageable. Together they had systematically destroyed her sleep architecture over the course of years, and her muscles had paid the price. She had lost significant grip strength. Her balance was poor. Her arms and legs looked noticeably thinner than they had 5 years earlier. When Eleanor worked through every habit on this list systematically, cooled her room, removed the bedroom television, stopped the evening wine, added cottage cheese before bed, and started drinking water an hour before sleep, the change did not happen overnight. Nothing worthwhile does. But over 90 days, her sleep tracker showed a clear